So, SharePoint 2013 for Office 365. So, let me ask you guys a couple questions. First off, how many, kind of gauge the audience here, how many people have done development for SharePoint? Well, it sounds like we had a pretty technical crowd, which is what wasn't what I was expecting. So we'll get a little more deep on this talk. Yeah, well, they come back in, I'll go down a little bit lower. But anyways, Microsoft SharePoint 2013 kind of has the same architecture as the previous versions, with an exception. They finally got the same version of .NET framework as the latest one. Thank you, because it's such a frustration having to deal with that. So pretty much the stack is pretty consistent with the latest and greatest. I'm glad they finally pulled that off, because that was always a mild frustration for me working with SharePoint. So and it's the same as last time. You still have the foundation, which has the core functionality, and then the server part on top of that. So now, a lot has changed with SharePoint 2013, and they've kind of, in my opinion, gotten rid of a lot of the frustrating things about SharePoint. How many people enjoy doing SharePoint sometimes, and how many people hate doing SharePoint? You know, it just depends on the day. You know, some days I hate it, some days I love it. It just depends on what I'm doing, and sometimes I really hate it. So, but I feel like they've got the right approach now. They've changed the architecture in a lot of ways, and they've really gone to the whole app model. You know, you guys all probably have smartphones. You know, you got your apps on your phone here, and you can, they're isolated. You know that if you run an app, it's not going to crash your Chase Bank app or whatever other app you have on there. It's not going to blow up your phone, and you're not going to be able to start it up. You know, there's that isolation. Well, they've worked really hard to isolate this, because that's part of the problem. You know, if you chose a farm solution, then you've got, you know, the whole world. You know, you could say reformat hard drive, and they would do it. You know, versus, you know, the sandbox solution where you couldn't even put your company logo on the feature. You know, go figure. So with the new model here, we've got, you know, the whole stack of, you know, modern web development. You got HTML5, you know, HTML. You've got the JavaScript, and they've really invested in the client-side object model. And with this client-side object model, you have access to a lot more functionality. In SharePoint 2010, you had functionality where you could kind of manipulate lists. With this new version, you can do publishing, you can do workflows, you can do all this in JavaScript. So they're really focusing on you're doing all your work on a client or on another server. And I'm going to get into more detail in a minute. So most of your work, actually all of your work, is not even done on the Office 365 server, or you know, it's actually done elsewhere. So, so just to recap here, they have, you know, a mobile app like kind of framework now, in the sense that it's all the very standards that most people are familiar with, and it's all driven by a web service. So all your calls are going through a web service, and you're doing, you know, JSON or XML calls to the web service through the client object model. So, and they've really made it a lot easier to work with. So, okay, so I'm really excited about this demo. It's actually going to be fun. Now, I know a lot of you guys haven't had a lot of time to play with 2013. Who's actually even messed with it? Anybody here mess with it? Okay, so for those of you that haven't, I'm, you know, prepared to just kind of show you some really cool functionality. We're just going to go through the new UI. Your ability to access files is a lot better. It's kind of like Dropbox. And they're trying to make it more like Dropbox, so you can kind of sync between your SharePoint and your computer. You know, another great thing is you don't have to have access to your internal network to give access to someone else. You can share with your buddy and say, hey, I'm working on this project for work, and I need some help with some recommendations on this. Let me share this presentation with you and let you look at it. They can access it on SharePoint. So you don't even have to be a part of the domain to grant access, which is really cool. It opens up the world of people that you want to share it with. Another great thing is social. In 2010, who actually used any social stuff? Nobody tagged, nobody did anything. They've put a lot of work into making it easier. You know, they really want to make the SharePoint kind of like a Facebook for your business, where people can share and intermingle ideas. And I really feel like I would use it. It's kind of in your face, and I would use it. So it's really cool. During this presentation, I'm going to create a public-facing website in 5 minutes, one that I'd actually be proud of and put on the web. Okay? Now you guys might be shocked by that, but I'm going to show you that. And I'm not going to copy any CSS or anything like that. I'm just going to use images and just a couple manipulations. It's going to be really cool. Last thing, Exchange is really cool, and SharePoint is really cool. And working together on a project is even cooler. So let's say you're working on a project with a team, you can create a team mailbox. And then all your document libraries and everything like that is going to be shared in one place. So hey, did you get that email? Can you put that in SharePoint? You can actually just email it to SharePoint, and everything's kind of together. So there's a lot of other things on here, but let's go into that, and then I'll come back and show you the different plans and what you need to know if you're going to do development for Office 365. So let me go in here. So here's the new. Let me make it a little bigger here for you. Okay, so here is the new layout here for Office 365, and you'll notice at the top here, there's Outlook, there's Calendar, People, News Feeds, SkyDrive. So you basically have, this is like a main default navigation bar at all times. So you're always going to have access to swap back and forth. I know in SharePoint 2010, especially if you did any like branding or anything like that, all of a sudden your navigation's gone, or you did any custom search or something like that, you've got to do all kinds of stuff. You always have your navigation up top, and it's actually really nice because you can kind of have that all available at any time. And this is a team site, of course. And it's actually a special one. It's called a developer site. And with Office 365, for $99 a year, you can create a developer site. And then you can actually upload packages and everything like that and do deployments, deploy solutions. And about 90% of your code if you've written a sandbox solution will carry over into an app, or you can just deploy a sandbox solution. So all that work you've done has not gone to waste. It's actually pretty nice. So down here you've got links here where you can change the links, you can edit it real quick, and they've just honestly made it really easy to work with. I've been very, very impressed with the UI changes. A lot of the UI changes too are for touch. So if you've got an iPad or something like that and you go on to the site and you want to touch around, it's made for touch. You'll notice that there's these little blocks down here. Notice how big they are? Well, that's for tiles, kind of like you have an app on your iPhone or whatever, so that it's touch. You can touch it, and it's actually pretty cool. Even in the web apps, there's a touch button, so if you're using your hand, you can do that. So another cool thing is documents. So let's do something real quick. I'm going to kind of create a new app here, and now this might be a point of confusion for some people, but apps are actually lists and document libraries and all of it. For marketing, Microsoft just made everything an app. So just for your point of view, make sure you know that an app is all the things you're familiar with and then some. So I'm going to go in here and see this little gear here. There's actually a button, and you can actually go to add an app. And this you'll see document library, custom list, task list, all the things you're kind of familiar with already are in here. And then you can actually install apps from the marketplace and stuff like that. So we'll kind of cover that a little bit more later. But let's add a new document library. So I'm going to call this Office 365 and hit create here. So now I've just created this new document library here, and we're going to go over and open it up. So another really cool thing is one of the frustrations is sometimes someone tells, hey, can you put that in SharePoint? Well, you got to hit a button and add a file, and then you hit browse, and then you do all this, and it's just a pain. And then there's that SharePoint thing, that Silverlight thing that comes up, but it's just kind of kludgy. Wouldn't it be nice just to drag and drop like every other regular Windows application, where you can just go drag and drop now? All those files get uploaded. So that was easy. Now another thing you can do that's really cool is, say you want to look at something, but you don't really want to open it up. you're just kind of like, well, I just want to see what this slideshow has on it. I can click this button, and then I can just actually go through and look at the slideshow and see it. And then I can decide whether or not I want to open it up or not. Another great thing is, let's say I want to share this with somebody in the audience. Someone can just give me their email, and I'll just type in one of mine. And I'll hit share. And let's see, check out my presentation. And hit share there. And now I've just shared that with somebody else, and they can have access to it. Now, let's say I wanted to share a couple files. I can go over here, create a new folder, and say, resources, and hit save. And then I can actually share a folder. Or, if I wanted to, I can share the whole site. So, if I wanted to share this folder here, I can just drag and drop a couple files that I want in the folder, just like using any other application you're familiar with, like Explorer. And I can just say I want to share this. So I can just share this with somebody else. Have another email, and just hit share. And now that person can actually access that folder, which is pretty nice. Now, if I want to share the whole site, I can just go up to the home site here, and I can hit share, and I can share the whole site. And I'm not going to go and log in, hit the button, and come up, but just take my word for it. I tried it out; it's really cool. And then you've actually got users. If you share the whole site, you can actually kind of work with them like they're part of the domain in some ways. Now, there's some limitations, but you can still assign tasks and do stuff like that in some ways. So it's actually kind of cool. So just hit the share button, and I'm going to share the entire site. And I've got another email. I've got about 12 emails. So. And I'm just going to share that. Okay. So another great thing is SkyDrive Pro. Has anybody tried SkyDrive? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Well, anybody use Dropbox? Okay. Well, it's kind of like that, where I can just say, I'm going to go down here to my Office 365 folder here, and I'm going to click on this SkyDrive button. Okay, and if I want to add files to that, I can go and I can share that with SkyDrive, and then those files are going to be synced. So let's just look at this here. If I go over here to my folder here, I've got this sync here with, hang on, let me go here. This is the Office 365 account. And this automatically syncs with through SkyDrive with SharePoint. So if I go over to one of my share folders, like you can go here and see all the documents that you've followed and you're interested in. But if I go back here, there's a Sites button here. If you click Sites, you can see all the sites that you're interested in. I'm going to go to the team site where I was. And if I look at my document library here at the top, you can see these are the documents. Okay, if I go back over here, you can see those documents are there too. Now, if I just wanted to copy some documents over from somewhere else that I'm interested in, so I'm going to take this Office 365 example files. I'm just going to drag it over here, and of course something happens. We're just going to drag this over here like that, and all of a sudden these files are going to show up in here shortly. So we'll come back to it in a second. It probably won't take too long to show up, but just to show you what SkyDrive can do. Now let's say you have 10 different SharePoint sites you work with. Well, you can have 10 different SkyDrive folders, and you can just share. It's really convenient. It's really easy. And once you set it up, you don't have to think about it. You just, do I want to open up SharePoint, and I want to open up my file system. So everybody that opens up an Office 365 account gets 7 gigs of storage space. You've got lots of personal space for all the stuff that you want. And then you can also collaborate with SkyDrive or with SharePoint outside of the organization, like I showed you with sharing, and access the content from anywhere. You can access it from your phone or from any device, which is nice. Now, I just covered, the guest links a second ago where you could share, the site, the folder, and even an individual document. Now I'm going to go into kind of how Office 365 has taken a more of a social approach to things. So if I'm going to go into my newsfeed here, and this is kind of like your Facebook page or whatever, where you're going to see, your kind of wall, anything that you're following. So as you can see here, I've got 3 documents I'm following and 4 sites. So you can say, I want to follow this stuff, and then you also got your own personal blog that you can edit and change. I go back here. Now, if you're familiar with like Twitter and so forth, I could go to, let's say, one of the documents that was on my sites here, and I should go to Team Sites, and they've got something cool. It's a kind of a new app, or kind of a document library, and it's called the Community. And I'm going to go here, and I created this community here. And what you do is basically you discuss things, and like let's say you guys all use Stack Overflow, right? To find answers. And, if the internet ever died, you wouldn't know how to fix the problem. You say, I'm just going to go home. Well, you can kind of have your own little Stack Overflow for your office here, and you can say, well, I want to create a new community home group, and people actually get points and badges and stuff, just like they do for those community sites, for all the content they add to your company. So, you could say, hey, look, as a company, we want to do documentation, we want to have our own knowledge base. We're going to give anybody a $20 gift card that gets, this badge for all their community, sharing and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. But let's just go in here and let's create a new discussion here, and we're going to I'm going to discuss Office 365. And so something really simple, and I'm going to select the general category, and you can even post it as a question. So somebody's responsible for answering things, they can come on here and answer it. So I'm going to open this up, and then what you can do here, this is one I worked with earlier, so let me open up the one I just created here. Okay, clicked on the wrong link there. Well, need my navigation bar. Okay. So what I can do is I can say I like it, where you see the I like things on websites, and then you can also reply. I am going to talk on this today. And then I could hit reply, but then I could say my name. Instead of where I said I could say @Brian Purdue, and then it comes up with the people picker. How many people like the people picker? I hated the people picker. I shouldn't have to open another window to just look at all the people. Okay, well, there's a people picker. Just anywhere you just type @ sign, and then you got a people picker, and you can mention anybody. And then I can say, as a interest mention, I can say I'm interested in SharePoint 2013. So you can hashtag stuff, and then if I go back to my newsfeed, I'll see this that someone mentioned my name, and I'll see it under, I said I was interested in this hashtag 2013, and so I'll actually see that newsfeed. So, I really feel like, see, where I said I like Office 365 there, and then there's a post on that topic. So, I can see anytime anybody mentions me or talks about me or talks about a topic I'm interested in, or anytime I say I want to follow a document, you can actually go in here and let's go to sites. And if there's a document I want to find on a regular basis, I can go in here and I could go to the documents, and I can say I want to follow this document. So now that'll show up on my news feed, and I'll have access to it. It's kind of like your find all for all the stuff you're interested in the company, and I think it's really sweet. I mean, I think they got it right this time with this version of SharePoint, because I will use it. So now another cool thing is public-facing websites. This is probably my favorite part of the presentation. So now, because I have a developer account, now don't get tricked when you go and you want to play with it. Okay, there's two different types. There's the common person route, let me just kind of go in here and do that, talk about that real quick. Well, that was a link, and it didn't work. Let me go back. Well, anyways, if you go and you compare the plans, well, I don't know. It usually worked. If you go and you compare the plans, there's enterprise plans, and then there's regular, business user accounts. You want an enterprise account. If you have an enterprise account, E1 or to E3, then you're going to have the ability to have a developer site, and then you're going to have the ability to have the admin screen. Now, I figured out this the hard way, and I had to call support and say, where is my central admin screen? I need it. And they were like, you don't have the right one, and then you guys won't have to go through that. But here is where I can provision new sites, and I can do a lot of things that you can do in central admin, which is really cool. So they've actually kind of really gotten a lot of the functionality that you can do in a tenant kind of environment, kind of plugged as much as possible in this, and so I can go in here and provision, to like 3,000 sites, or keep provisioning, all of the items and keep track of how many megabytes and resources I have available for the company. And I think it's like 25 cents for an extra gig or a month or something like that. I can't remember the exact amount, but you can buy more storage space. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at this public-facing website. So let's go to http sos dev -public SharePoint site. And what I'm going to do here is just, this is the screen you get as soon as you create a new public-facing website. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is from scratch create a really nice one for Composable. Okay? We're going to create a company website. So what I'm going to do first is there's a little gear. I feel like SharePoint, they keep moving back and forth. The site settings on the left. Now it's on the right. Now it's on the left. It's kind of, I don't know.
That's how you know what version you're in.
Yeah, seriously. So if I go in here and I go to change the look, which let me just show you this real quick. There's a site settings page, just like kind of the site settings page you see in any website. I don't know how familiar you are with Office 365, but don't be scared of it. It's really similar to 2010 or 2007. But if you go down to change the look, I'm going to go change the look of this website and make a nicer looking website. So I'm going to choose the fashion. Okay. It is a lot like WordPress. Yeah. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select a public-facing website image. How many of you guys like the Matrix? So we're going to use the Matrix image as our background. Because from programming, I think it kind of fits. Then I'm going to choose a different, I kind of like that one. I'm going to choose a different one here, and Georgia. So now I just select the look I wanted. Now, how many of you guys have actually messed with publishing with SharePoint, like creating a branding site? Painful. Was it painful or fun? Painful. Okay, for me it's painful. I'm like, this should not be this hard. I mean, seriously. So this is fun. I like this, okay? I've just been productive. I can go home and say I put in 8 hours of work. No one knows anything about SharePoint.
When you were done, at least it looked bad.
Yeah, what's that?
When you were done, at least it looked bad.
Yeah. Well,
SharePoint.
what's that?
It looked like SharePoint. This looks much better.
Oh yeah, they've gotten rid of all the SharePointy stuff. Like, the branding, the public-facing website, you can't do as much as you could, with the old version, but in their effort to limit you, they've maximized your potential, in my opinion. So here's the main website now. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of split the screen here, and I'm going to edit the home page. So let me go to change the logo of our website. So I'm going to go to site settings. And I'm going to go to the title, description, logo. And I'm going to change the title to Composable Systems. And then I'm going to get a better image here for our logo. which I really love the ability to drag and drop. Whoop. I did not mean to do that. Okay, it's getting my nerves. Okay. Gonna get used to using a smaller screen here. Well, I guess they don't let you do that there. So we'll just copy this, hit browse, and paste that in there. Hit OK. Just comes up. Now I've got my logo. I'll open this Word document up real quick. And I'm going to go back to home. But I didn't save my changes. So sorry. Hit OK. Now I'm going to go home. OK. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the footer. So just like you can with any page, you can go in Page, and you could edit if you're familiar with publishing. And it's just like Word in the editor. You can edit a page just like a Word file. I'm going to add some text in here. So I'm going to grab this text here and allow the access to do that. And then I'm going to add an image. So I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to insert a picture from the computer, Browse, and I'm going to choose Microsoft Partner logo because we've got a silver status with Microsoft. And then I'm going to move this over and make this good size here. And now I'm going to go to the bottom here. And what's really cool is how many people want to get into social networking a little bit. You know, everybody's trying to get into it. Well, you know, I could probably spend a day or two trying to get Facebook to integrate with my web page. Well, that's where apps come in. I went and I installed a plugin or an app for Facebook. So now what I can do is if I go into social plugins, we've got all these different plugins. So luckily for you, I get to install it again. So because I deleted the site and recreated it. So if I go into find an app, I can go into social plugins, and these are plugins where you can do social stuff. So I'm going to go to public facing website apps, and you'll see that there's a Facebook app right here. So I'm going to add this Facebook app and just add it to my site. So this kind of gives you an idea of how apps work. Now what you do with apps is there's two different types of permissions. There's the permissions of the person using the app, and there's also the permissions of the app. So as a user, I'm going to trust this app, and I'm going to say you can have full control of the site, and you can access basic information. So I'm going to go and say, I trust you, Facebook. Okay? And so now Facebook's app's getting added. So you can kind of see it right there. It's getting added, and you're going to wait. And another thing that SharePoint's done is they kind of re-architected things so that the only thing that loads in the page is whatever needs to be loaded. They kind of tried to kind of have more of an asynchronous kind of loading. So as you see, you know, if you look at the calls and everything like that, you probably only see that little section or part of that section get edited, which is really cool, which gives it a lot more like desktop-like feel. So I'm going to open this Facebook app here, and apparently I've got to log in real quick. So do and okay, so here's my public-facing website. I've just added this app. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable it. So kind of like features, where you enable features, I'm going to enable this app's feature. And then, you know, I've kind of got like the site settings page where Facebook would have their own site settings page for the different features. This has all the different things you can kind of change and edit and so forth. So I've just enabled this feature, so I'm going to go back to my website here. And now that I've edited it, when I click that that button I just clicked, it took me to the App Store because I didn't have any social things installed. It's actually going to allow me to run a social plugin. So I'm going to save this real quick. Okay, something went wrong. That always happens in a presentation. Okay, we'll forget that. We'll go back to our sites. And we'll go into our public-facing website. Now, I'm going to go back into this page again. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to paste that content in I added a minute ago there. Okay. Now I'm going to add the Facebook web part to it. Now, that was an app I installed, so it added new functionality to SharePoint. And so I'm going to go to Social Plugins. Now you're going to see what I hit this button a minute ago, and it took me to the App Store because I didn't have any social plugins. Now that I have social plugins, I've got all these cool web parts that I can play with. Now I can just add Facebook integration, which would probably take me a day, the developer, to do. You know, and just add it to the web page like this. So I'm going to add a Facebook like button and hit add. And now I have Facebook integrated in my website, so people can say they like it and they can send comments and put comments on the site. So another cool thing is, just like in Word, you can kind of edit the, edit things with styles. They made it real easy for it, just like the Word environment. So I'm going to save this now. And now, if you look at the web page, I've got a pretty compelling website page. Now, I didn't re-add that image. It's going to take too much time, but I could have had that Microsoft, partner image. And now I've just added social networking to my site. So I now have the ability for people to integrate with Facebook and kind of draw more people to my public-facing website. So, so that's just a couple of things. Now, what I could do is I can go into Page, and I can go into just a couple of things here, and I'm going to have to speed up because I had a couple little snags there. And I can go to Edit the Page, and I can kind of change the style of the page just like you would in publishing. They made it real easy. So I go to Page, Page Layout, and I'm going to add a right sidebar here to the site. And then what I can do is I can add some content here and say, here are some of our customers, the clients. And then I can edit it here like that. And then I can add some images and say that one there would be good. So I would have gone a little further, but in the interest of going through the entire presentation, I've got to move a little faster here. So I'm going to save that, but as you can see, pretty easily, I just created a really nice home page. I also have, About Us page and a Contact Us page, and I've done that with little to no effort, in my opinion. And so they've really made the publishing a lot easier. So I really have enjoyed that functionality. Now let's say I want to go public. All I got to do is hit this little button, Make Website Online. Now also, another thing is, if anybody's interested in SEOs, trying to get integrate with Google, they've made it a lot easier. There's actually settings in there for it, and you've got a lot of functionality for that. So. It comes with that. It comes with the $6 account too, the $5 accounts. Those are the regular business accounts. The enterprise accounts are $8 and up. The business accounts, the basic without the public-facing websites, like $5, and then from $6 on in the business accounts, you're going to get public-facing websites. So if you have a really good app idea. It's about $5 for the business account and up for the business accounts, and it's $8 and up for the enterprise accounts.
So you're talking per month, right?
Per month, yes, on a monthly basis.
Price for the developer.
Right. That's correct. So what Microsoft's trying to do for everything is go to subscription-based, which I don't blame them. Residual incomes for life. Yeah, $99 a year with developer account, you get everything I'm showing you. I'm doing this on a developer account right now. So everything you see here is on a developer account, and anything above an E1 account, and the cheapest E1 account's $8 a month. So, to answer your question? So it's pretty cheap. You know, if anybody has a good app idea, they can get a public-facing website up pretty quick and get on the web. I think it's kind of exciting. So, all right, now the next thing I'm going to cover here, and I'm going to have to speed through things a little quicker, is I'm going to cover the site mailbox. So if I go into sites, which is kind of where I can get to all the sites that I have access to, and I go into team sites, I actually added an app, and it was the Mailbox app. And so with this Mailbox app, what I can do is I can email anything to it, and it will automatically go in this Mailbox app. I also have this integrated with Outlook. So anytime anybody sends anything to this Composable Systems LLC team site account, it will automatically, which is this email right here, it'll automatically get added to this, and then you can have document libraries and all kinds of like SharePoint greatness added to this. So it's really cool. So if you're working on a project, you can just say, hey, if it's important, send it to this email address. So it's actually kind of a nice feature. So, okay, so that ends the part on the just kind of a high level, some of the new functionality. Now, there's a lot more, but I think that gives you kind of a good view. So